Overwatch is a 5v5 FPS MOBA-esque objective game. Quite the mouthful. With 39 heroes in the game, each with unique abilities and playstyles, the mathematical complexity of the game is often overlooked. Today I'm going to talk a bit about how the developers, over time, have realized the gargantuan task of balancing Overwatch, and show you that with simply changing format rules, the devs have decreased the statistical complexity of the game. This, in my opinion, is a good thing for the health and longevity of the game. So, let's go back to the original rules of Overwatch. At launch, 21 characters were included in the roster. With 2 teams of 6, each team could have as many duplicate heroes and as many duplicate roles as they saw fit. So let's do some math to figure out how many possible team compositions there were. With 21 playable characters and 6 slots for the team, we can simply raise 21 to the 6th power. We can do this because duplicates were allowed. After crunching the numbers, we find that there were 85,766,121 possible team compositions. If we wanted to find out how many possible team matchups there were between these teams, we have to think about this carefully. Some math heads out there might be saying we can use a combination. However, that would eliminate matches between 2 of the same teams, which we want to include. Instead, we have to use some logic. Each team can choose from 85,766,121 compositions, so we square that. But this number includes each matchup twice, just flipped in their order. So to get rid of this, we simply divide by 2. It turns out there were over 3.6 quadrillion team matchups in the original Overwatch. To put that in perspective, if the average American wanted to earn 3.6 quadrillion pennies, they would have to work for roughly 700 million years. Needless to say, I doubt every possible match composition has been tried in that original format. One thing to keep in mind as well is that Overwatch had always planned to add more heroes. In this original format, adding 1 hero would change the number of team comps to 113 million and some change, and nearly double the number of matchups. This would only grow faster with each hero added. On July 19, 2016, Overwatch Competitive restricted hero picks to 1 per team. Funny enough, this was a large point of contention in the community. At the same time, 1 new hero was added, Ana. These changes significantly changed the scope of the game and also massively reduced the number of compositions possible. For this next calculation, we can use a simple combination. We have 22 heroes and we need to choose 6 of them without repeating. The combination formula accounts for the fact that Ana, Mercy, Soldier, Tracer, Rein, Zarya is the same as Zarya, Rein, Tracer, Soldier, Mercy, Ana. The way I think about this is for the first hero, we have 22 options, 21 for the next, and down the line until we have filled our teams. But then we need to divide by the number of ways you can arrange that team of characters. And that number is 6 for the first slot, 5 for the next, and so on. After calculating this, we find that there are now only 74,613 possible teams, over 1,000 times less than before, and that's with an added character. In terms of total matchups, we can do the same calculation and find that there are still 2.8 billion possible matchups, a far cry from the 3.6 quadrillion, but still respectable complexity. I like to think this made balancing the game significantly more practical. But we are not done yet. We have to remember that with every new hero, this number grows larger quite rapidly. And that brings us to our next change in format, role queue. On August 13th, 2019, Blizzard announced role queue alongside a new tank character, Sigma. There were now 31 characters in the game, and players had to lock into a role before queuing for competitive and quick play. The teams now were forced into 2 tanks, 2 DPS, and 2 support characters. If Role Queue was not introduced here, there would now be 736,281 possible team comps. But with the new format, we have to calculate a little differently. We first have to find the number of pairings in each of the roles. To do this, we use the combination formula again. With 9 tanks, there are 36 possible pairings. With 15 DPS, there are 105 pairings. And with 7 supports, there are 21. We then multiply all of these pairings together to find that there are now 79,380 possible teams and 3.1 billion team matchups. This is roughly in line with the number of comps 3 years prior. Also now, with each new hero, the total number of comps is impacted significantly less. Finally, we arrive at the final format change that we have experienced. Overwatch 2 will now be a 5v5 experience. The crowd is stunned. What the fuck? Okay, but let's take a look at the math. Overwatch 2 launched on October 4th, 2022 with 35 characters. We are now up to 39 characters. Now to calculate team comps, we have 10 supports for a total of 45 pairs, 17 DPS for a total of 136 pairs, and 12 tanks. We no longer need to calculate tank pairings. Feels bad. This comes out to a total of 73,440 team comps. If we had stayed in the original rule set, 6v6 with no duplicate restrictions, the total number of possible team comps would be a staggering 3,518,743,761. And the number of possible team matchups would be well over 6 sextillion. For perspective, stacking just 1 sextillion people on top of each other would span further than the width of the Milky Way galaxy. So all in all, I think reducing the metagame mathematics is in general a good idea, obviously to a certain extent. Hope those who stuck around enjoyed this video, and leave a like if you did. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.